We see the objective reality around us. Whatever we see, whatever we feel, whatever we touch, or through our senses, whatever we understand, is real for us. It is there. But the question is, what we see is real or not? That is the question of Jnana Yoga. What we see is real or not. They have a definition. That comes, exists and perish, cannot be real. Real is something which can be there always. It is not transient. That which is not transient, which is not undergoing birth, growth, death, disappearance, cannot be considered as real. This is their idea. But we human beings, whatever we see is real. Because you can touch, you can feel, you can taste, you understand in some ways. And so it's seemingly very real for us. The question is whether the seen reality is the absolute reality or it is a part of the reality. Certainly it must be part of the reality, but not the whole. Because even after an object changes its form, certainly it is existing in a different form. Everything. And you cannot say that inner content of what was projected is perishing by the change of the form. But that which is continuously changing cannot be considered as real. Real must be something permanent. So that is the question, what is permanent? When we look, how we understand whether it is permanent or not. We try to understand something with the help of a small instrument, which is our intellect, mind and perceptions. This is a small, actually it is a very tiny mechanism which has a lot of limitation. And what a person sees and what the other person sees, we cannot also compare because it is very subjective. So we cannot say what is really real for everybody because it depends upon how people are seeing. And so what is real for everybody must be something which is beyond our perception, beyond our mind, beyond the faculties which is there in the mind. So certainly it must be beyond our rational capacity to discriminate and make a judgment. And if it is like that, we will not be able to understand what that reality is, because with this limited instrument, we cannot understand. So this is an attempt which they do. With the mind, they go on putting questions to the mind to understand, analyze, find out what is real and what. And ultimately, we will realize that the mind cannot do this. It cannot find the ultimate answer to this problem. Then it stops. There is no other way. When it fails, it stops. It surrenders. When the mind surrenders, there is nothing. There must be nothing. And when I say nothing, I am just saying an idea of nothingness. Nothing you cannot conceive because there is nothing. The mind can only conceive things which is based on something. When we say nothing, it's just an idea of nothingness which is created by the mind, which it wants to project by way of its understanding. It projects and it understands something, which is not nothingness, which is not emptiness. So our words and everything fails in our search for the ultimate understanding. And the mind settles, finally. It has to finally settle. It will settle because it cannot do anything. The mind itself will realize that this instrument is incapable of understanding the reality, which is the absolute reality. And then it simply stops. When it simply stops, what is there is there. And so everything, whatever the mind projects on it, is Maya. For example, when I say a glass of water, seemingly it is understood by everybody. Because we have heard a glass of water before. We know the glass, we know the water. But the glass of water which I am specifically saying is not possible for you to understand because you have not touched it, you have not felt it. We know generally something and we put it in a general framework and we try to understand it. This is our comprehension. And we continuously comprehend in this way. By comprehending, we create some false understanding based on the names and forms. Namarupa based on. We try to understand based on the names and forms. And if you want to really understand deeply, one has to cross this. How to cross this? This is our basic, what you call, obstacle. All our knowledge is based on names and forms and the process which the mind is doing and the work of the intellect. And we have no other instrument to know. So far we have no other instrument to know, we will not be able to know. Then what we can do? We can realize that we will not be able to know. That is a true realization because I cannot understand this. And when a person surrenders there, or admit that I can't understand anything, then his ego vanishes immediately. Ego is working with the support of this kind of understanding. When we understand something, we start to feel, I know this. Then, the next moment onwards, all our work is based on that understanding. I know something. Continuously we do this. And we boost up our image, our ego, and we do a completely different trip, which has nothing to do with the reality. That's why it is called we live an ignorant life and we are in an illusion. We are living our Maya. And it's not easy to break this. Breaking Maya is breaking the mind. And that is the question, who wants to break? We have a desire to break, but deeply when you look, we are not ready to break it. Because this is the only instrument we know. And if we break it, we lost. We will be losing everything. And so we will not come to the final point of breaking the mind. We come closer to it, then the mind starts to play a different trick. That it tries to interpret unexplainable, uninterpretable areas, like freedom, like maybe oneness, Brahman, or all these things. We try to interpret it. And we try to realize the interpretation, which is not the reality.